Would you pray with me and for me, please? Gracious God, may the meditations of our hearts and the words of my mouth be acceptable in your sight. O Lord, you who are our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. A few of you may be familiar with the modern theologian Marcus Borg. I like him. I don't like a lot of theologians because they confound my brain. But one of the things that I like about Marcus Borg is he forces me to think about things that I might not think about and leads me down paths that are unexpected for me. And he has a bit that he writes about the palm procession at the triumphal entry of Jesus. And there's this little tidbit, this little nugget of information that he shares that I realize in 40 years of preaching, I've never talked about this. I've never thought about it, but it's helping me to align the story just a bit. On the day that Jesus came down the hill into the valley and up into the city of Jerusalem, that very same day, someone else took a very similar route to come into town. His name was Pontius Pilate. There was a parade. There was a grand procession, as there would be every time he left his seaside home in Caesarea Philippi and came into the city of Jerusalem. Pilate preferred his seaside home, wouldn't you? Preferred his seaside home. And when he had to, he would come into the city of Jerusalem. Now, he knew that it was the festival day. He knew that it was the Passover for the Jews that week, and that the city would swell to multiple times its normal size as devout Jews from across the world would make their way there to celebrate the Passover, to remember God's redemption of ancient Israel from Pharaoh and the Egyptians. Pontius Pilate was not there to celebrate. There was a reason why he came into town. And he would have been heavily garrisoned, guarded by Roman centurions, most likely a lot of them. I don't know if you've been paying any attention to spring break and Miami and Miami Beach. There's a whole new campaign, media campaign, that targeted the young adults that hit Miami Beach, Fort Lauderdale for spring break. And it goes like this. Young women, young men on video saying, "We're breaking up with you. Don't come. We really don't want you here. The fun is over." And it's quite serious. Miami and Miami Beach have communicated very effectively, I might add. They've communicated the fact that they don't want the spring breakers there anymore. And one of the ways that they've done that is they have flooded the streets with Florida State Highway Patrolmen from all across the state of Florida and other off-duty officers that are being employed for the purpose because things have gotten out of hand. Well, guess what? That's why Pilate's coming into town. You see, tensions between Rome and Israel have been rising around the time of Jesus. And as a matter of fact, not long after the death and resurrection of Jesus, the conflict intensifies to a level that there is a great war between Israel and Rome that results in the destruction of the temple, something that Jesus himself says is going to happen. And so Pilate is moving in this very orchestrated, very intentional, very organized, very grand entry into Jerusalem. It is most likely that Pilate would have been either on a war stallion, a chariot, or a carriage. More than likely, he's coming in on a war stallion because he needs the people of the city of Jerusalem to know that he means business, that he is in charge because Rome is in charge, and foolishness will not be tolerated. And into this party, if you will, into this very organized parade, think Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Large, huge crowds, very orderly, very organized. Somewhere there's a small group gathering in the hills, and it's the Morganton Christmas Parade. Now listen, if you live here in North Bagog, Carolina, and you go to a parade and you do not see the septic tank truck, if you do not see at least 2 tractors, and if you do not see at least 3 antique vehicles, you ain't not been to no parade. And if you're in Burke, Bagog County, there's going to be a chicken in it. If it's a parade of any account. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, next time Glen Alpin has a parade, go see the chicken. And I love these parades, don't you? I mean, I love them. Betsy, I remember what great fun we had harassing your granddaughter together from the sidelines while she tried to march in band and be very serious. I know those people on those floats. Even the kids got it. Ooh, when you're here, if you're in this particular group, you get to ride in the parade. There's something down home about it. And if you want to go for a real parade, you're going to the J. Iverson Riddle Parade, because it's not the Christmas season until the J. Iverson Parade. I got to say something to you, though. As lovely as our parades are, I had no earthly idea until my wife took me to Caldwell County. As a matter of fact, REACT, the local group that does all the traffic management for the major events that take place on the interstate and other events as well, REACT gets worn out because they start down in Roadhiss and work their way up to Lenoir. And every little town along 321A has a parade, and the last one that I went to, the one in Hudson, had 150 Jeeps in it. Everybody knew each other, and everybody had a great time. That's this parade. This parade that Jesus is a part of, it's plain folks. It's just us folks. It's not high pomp and circumstance. It's not intended as a controlled and managed threat. It is meant for the people. And there's a couple of things, 3 things really, that are happening in this parade that are important to note. Now, you saw one of them, right? The kids came in with it. I love it when we run out of bulletins. We don't do it on purpose, but we ran out of bulletins and palms this morning, so y'all make nice with each other and share, okay? But palms and cloaks and a donkey. These are the trademarks of our story about this particular process, this particular event. The palms come from the book of Psalms. In the book of Psalms, we read that people are to go and pull down the branches and line the streets with them in preparation for the coming of the King. the cloaks that get thrown out into the street and get put on top of the donkey. You've heard it before. You've read the story before. Jesus himself stops in the middle of one of the many parades that he makes as he's going through a particular community, and he says, "Who touched me?" And the disciples thought he had to be kidding. There were so many people around. There's no way of knowing who touched me. He said, "No, I felt the power go out from me." Who touched me? People are hoping that if nothing else, even the feet of the donkey upon which he is riding will touch the garments that they're wearing. I think I'd probably rather have that than a sweaty jersey from a soccer player tossed up into the stands. I'm just saying. But there's something about our attachment to things that people have touched. Right here in the city of Morganton, in the comma, a number of years ago, Dawn Wells, Marianne from Gilligan's Island, touched this beard. She asked my permission. I was, by the way, first in line for the fandom that happened at the end. And I said, of course. And I thought I'd get one of these. She grabbed herself a fistful of this beard, y'all. Changed my life. No, Holly and I were not dating at the time, so I did invite her to marry me. Not Holly, but Dawn Wells. There's something about having something that has been touched or worn or blessed in some way by someone who is powerful and important to us. And then there's the donkey. Some people mistake the donkey for humility, and some preachers preach that way, and I'm one of those preachers who has rambled down that road before, but the reality is it was traditional for a king or a potentate of a community to come into town on a donkey, because most people walked everywhere, walked. It was quite a luxury to have something or someone else to convey you to a location. These are signs of Jesus' kingship. And now they've become signs of our kinship. And the thing about this particular parade, well, the parade for Pontius Pilate would have involved people lining the streets and being forced out of the way. The parade for Jesus is a kinship parade. Everybody's invited to come in. Everybody's invited to come in. Everybody is invited to come in. You got here this morning one of two ways. Some of you were born into this church, and so you got here because you knew better than to backsass your mama and daddy and say you were not coming to church. But most of you are here because somebody said, "Come on, go with me." I've mentioned this to you before. I want to mention it to you again because I know that there are those of you who encourage people to come and join you in worship and join you in the connection and join you for those of you who worship with us online. The normal invitation cycle is 7. Most folks aren't going to do something new or try something new until they've been given 7 invitations, unless the word has gotten out. And if the word has gotten out, they're going to know to come and see. And so that's where we are in this morning's story. Our passage is brief today. It ends with a word of encouragement because there is this. People did not realize who they were cheering on. This man that they were shouting for, this man that they were celebrating, this man who was obviously of some importance because there's a crowd following him, so I'm going to go follow the crowd and see what this is all about. This man is of interest to us. Let's go see what's going on here. And while he could have ridden into Jerusalem on a war horse with his entourage to take over the city and his rightful entitlement as king of Jerusalem, he came in with the utmost humility. Because Jesus didn't come in to conquer. Jesus came to offer. Jesus came to offer an alternative to the way the world works. And if you're waiting for the point where we have gone from preaching to meddling, here it is. Jesus offers an alternative to the way the world works. I buried a friend of mine yesterday of 40 years. I've known Glenn Ray Lookabill. He was an upperclassman when I was an underclassman in college. And he and I took different paths. We've done different things, but he ended up being a principal in emergency services across the state of North Carolina. And my mind was blown at the number of people who showed up and the number of people who came online to see his service. And about a month ago, I was called to his bedside because he had developed cancer, and he was leaving, and he knew it. And I love him, and he loves me. And I looked at him, and we were ending our conversation, and I had to get him to repeat it 3 times because I couldn't understand what it was he was saying. And he said, "I want you to do my eulogy." And I had that honor yesterday afternoon. When we were there, all of us were there, as different as we all were, from across the state of North Carolina and as far away as Maryland. People showed up to that service. Because Glenn was neither red nor blue. Glenn was purple. Always and all the time. When I stood at his bedside, his wife took his mask off because they were doing that to keep light out of his eyes and keep him quiet and calm. Took his mask off. I haven't seen Glenn since before COVID. It's been that long since we've been face to face. We've communicated, just not in person. And he looked at me and said, "Well, hello, Dana." With one foot in heaven. This man radiated love. And this is the invitation that Jesus gives us as he comes into Jerusalem in this odd and interesting parade, that you and I and our call, our goal is to respond to his invitation. Our call, our goal is to extend his invitation, because there are people out there who are hurt and bitter and angry and frustrated and without hope. You may just be the only hope that someone will see today. So, as you go out to eat, as you shop, as you engage the world around you, I invite you to be a person of invitation. In the name of God who was, and is yet to come.